Up everybody, Louis Marco here, salute you wherever you are, and well, Sergio Oliva Jr. doing the proper mythical, well, called the myth posed, given the name by his late father, the legendary Sergio Oliva, Mr. Olympia of old. Next to who? Next to a megalodon, next to Smilodon, a huge bodybuilder in Akeem Williams, out of the Camel Crew, by far the biggest gentleman on that stage, and certainly in the top 6, doing the same pose, mind you. Well, guess what? The pose was won by Sergio, and he was given how many tens and tens and tens of pounds to Akeem, right? He was definitely not as big, not as huge, but definitely more aesthetic. And for the record, I had a chat lately about 2 or 3 days ago with Mr. Sergio Oliva, and just like that, I mean, when I talked to him, it's like a few days, I call him Mr. Legacy. I just call him like that, and I don't know why, but I just, you know, it just came in like that. And he told me, bro, I like that nickname, so hopefully he will keep it. And he also mentioned to me that he is basically proud of not, like removing that big monkey out of his back. Because always people were basically saying, okay, he's the son of his father, but can he basically create a name for his own and create some sort of an eventful win? And he just did that. And why is it eventful? I don't care about just a win. Well, now granted, the New York Pro, as I mentioned, theoretically it is number 3 in the ranking after Mr. Olympia and also the Arnold Ohio. It used to be called the Knights of Champion. Right now it is the Bev's New York Pro. Nonetheless, it is number 3. He won it. It is a significant pro win. But how did he win it? He was not the biggest. He was not the biggest in any pro show. Now, when did that happen? When did that happen? It is a very important show, actually. Back in the day, 1990, I remember it was won by the late Momo Benaziza. And then a year later, by Dorian Yates, right, who placed actually second the previous year next to Momo, and then he went to place second in Mr. Olympia 1991, of course, and he won his first Mr. Olympia in 1992. And believe me, it was because of that momentum that he gained by placing second to Momo and then first in 1991, and then he won in Helsinki. And believe me, the nut could have went to Kevin Levroni, and the history of bodybuilding would have been different. Both of them were quite small, so to speak. They were on the aesthetic side. They were still next to Lee Labrada. He was there next to them in Helsinki. All the guys were small because they were basically having the torch of Lee Haney. Lee Haney was kind of a tall guy, so to speak. He was maxing around 240, 245. Pretty much the same weight, more or less, than Arnold. A little bit more conditioned, of course, but nonetheless, right? So this guy was happening right now to go back to Helsinki. If Kevin Levroni would have won, probably would not have the monster era, because I do think that Dorian Yates somehow felt a menace. He was so close. So the next year what he has done is he upgraded his body and he came up with that 1993 crazy version, the famous black and white pictures that we all were mesmerized about. In those pictures, actually, he was exactly 269, if I do recall. And then the journalist of the magazine, Flex magazine, he asked him, bro, why didn't you come that way, that weight actually at the Mr. Olympia? You were already ready, already ripped. He said, I thought it would have been too much. I did not want to shock the world. So he came in at 257, but he was already big. It was already eventful, and he smoked Flex Wheeler, who came in a second. And then the rest was history. It triggered pretty much the big Fauna era. Nasser El Somebody came in, he followed suit. Kevin got bigger. And the rest is history. Everybody followed suit. We have the Marcus Rule of this world, Ronnie Coleman, who got bigger. Ronnie Coleman was so small back in the day in 1995. In French magazines, they used to call him the mix. They said this guy will never win. He's a mix of some sort of body parts. He was uneventful, right? But then he got bigger, and you guys know what happened. Now we have Sergio Oliva Jr. coming from nowhere, really, with no bubble gut. And you know what? Even though that show, I say that again, it was disheartening, since there was some politics, especially number 6 and number 3, in my opinion, and you guys agreed. But when it comes to the first place, he deserved it. He really deserved it. He was good. I think there was a guy who was also dinged. I think Luis Rodriguez. I don't know the guy, but I saw his pictures. He looks just amazing. But what I'm going to say is that Sergio Oliva deserved the win. And this picture is rather eventful. We have a guy who is kind of mainstream, slipstream kind of physique. Not big, by no means not busy. The guy can jump on stage. He can do some crazy ground posing. And then he wins. Hopefully it triggers some sort of a change, or back to the future. Let's go back to the golden era, and so on and so forth. Trust me, he's not that far from a classic physique, and this video is rather about him. Now look, he is being interviewed by my friend and the Mr. Olympia runner-up in classic physique, Arash Rahbar, from the same gym, by the way. They're all from New York. And Arash is one of the guys I talk to the most in the fitness, right? He's my personal friend, and again, we talk about mostly not fitness related, right? I mean, he loves cars. He has a BMW M3. Mind you, he can fit in it, right? He has a life. He works. He's a very successful businessman. He just moved in a crazy, beautiful house in New York region. And, you know, what I'm saying today is that he has a life. He has a passion. He can function, right? And believe me, I know some other guys. I'm not going to name them out of respect, but some of the biggest guys that live in overseas, they cannot function on a daily basis. They cannot breathe. They cannot work. They don't have a work. Their full-time job is pretty much bodybuilding, and they're trying to make a living out of it. And as I mentioned to you last year, I demonstrated that, as an example, Bubander Rolly Winkler, number 6 in Mr. Olympia, barely had a freaking sponsor. Right now he's sponsored by some shoe company, but believe me, it's just pennies. I mean, Bubander Rolly Winkler cannot survive without Kuwait. You need to comprehend that. He just cannot survive. And it's very important. You saw the difference that Kuwait made in Brendan Curry's case. Brendan Curry, last year Mr. Olympia, he was compared to Kevin Lavroni. He was number 16. He was small, soft, and it has to do with the monetary factor. Believe me, it's not cheap, that thing. That thing is not cheap by no means. The real thing, the quality thing, is not cheap, and you need to be dedicated to it. So he goes there in Kuwait. In Kuwait, I speak to these guys in Arabic. They tell me how to get it, and it's the pure thing, the pure honey. That pure honey, AAA grade, right? So that's what's up. And yeah. And there is another guy that I speak to quite frequently, so I'm not gonna put his name on, but you guys can figure out his name. He told me about this newly created classic physique, and he told me, bro, if you only knew what these guys do not have to take. I'll repeat what he said exactly. I'm just paraphrasing what he says, quote unquote. He told me, bro, if you only knew what these classic guys do not have to take to be like they look. Meaning, of course, everybody takes candies, but it is rather minute. It is not comparable to the rather stratospheric level that the bodybuilding big fauna have to take. And I know that. You guys, that I'm talking to the trainers of these guys, and they tell me what they take. Some of them take some things just boggles your mind. I mean, it makes Boston Lloyd rather look natural, right? So that's it. And let's proceed, because there was something that happened today related to this young chap, my young brother from Canada, Chris Bumstead. Now, he was a bodybuilder, by the way, and you know what? When he saw the advent or the debut of classic physique, he said, bro, I'm gonna try it, and he is winning like crazy. Hence, he just won today, and it's not that eventful because it was so expected. Hence, I had a chat with him 4 days ago. I told him, Chris, bro, let's make a video. Let's talk about our interview on on YouTube. He said, bro, do we do it after or before the show? My answer was rather simple and really truthful. I told him, bro, we will do it after your win, because his winning today, I mean, it's just, I mean, this weekend is so expected. It's not even funny. This guy is like, he's bespoke. He's like tailored for this new discipline. And most of you cats watching my videos, even if you're enhanced, I generally do believe that you aspire to look like this guy. I published a video and I showed it to you like about a month ago. This guy, he can dunk, he can play basketball without losing breath, without gassing, and he can dunk, he can move about, and he will laugh when he will hear this. While he happens to be a friend with another Canadian lifter named the Baker Boy. I call them like the maple and the anabolic maple syrup guys. Him, the Baker Boy, Regan Grimes, and of course Cody Drobot. They have some quality muscle. This guy sent me some funny videos with the opposite sex when he does with some French girls quite frequently. He's young. He's very young. Dude is like 22 or something, right? So he chills, you know, rocking a vacuum shamelessly, and he dares doing some poses that are not even classic physique in a sense, because as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, classic physique don't have a mandatory pose called front lat spread, and he does it in a proper way, and he is like a small streamlined Dorian-esque. I mean, look at that, it's just proper. And I don't think he was that conditioned today. I mean, it's not the best shape I've seen him, but it was just enough to be leaps and bounds versus the competition, just above the lines of Chris Bumstead. And finally, when he was asked by this gentleman, Mr. Bob Chick, and better to know, Bob Chick is a big guy, and he's not out-angling the small 22-year-old classic physique guy. He asked him, bro, what do you have to say about your opponents? And I told him, bro, I am Canadian, so I don't basically speak badly about the other guys in a sense. It's all cool. He's coming strong. And again, this video, again, it's not that eventful because he was so expected to win, but it is just to cheer and somehow celebrate, hopefully, truly. I mean, not even the advent of classic physique, it is more than that. It is truly their return to the classic era. I mean, I had a chat on my comment section with a very successful YouTuber now, Nick. You guys know him, Nick Power. He told me, bro, me too. I'm really a big fan of the Golden Era. I'm passionate. I'm just like you. Exactly. And the guy is young. I think he's 23. So it goes to show that even the younger generation is so passionate about something that looks rather human. And even if a lot of gym bros will go ahead and try these candies, I think it is better for them to try to resemble something more human, something attainable without taking extremes, that rather than trying to look like freaking, I'm not gonna name guys out of respect because I know their life and it really sucks. They sleep most of the day and they wake up every hour and a half to either eat or go to the toilet or to take their candies. It's not quite passionate over life, and with that crazy way, they cannot even drive a sport car nor have a decent job for that matter, right? So that's it. Dorian asked, he just won proper, and hopefully this whole thing will rekindle my passion as well as yours. So I want to continue to make content for you guys, and as you know, I start my microphone and it just goes. I don't even basically edit my videos, it just comes. But when the passion goes away, I cannot make videos because it shows. I'm just lying, right? And one other thing they need to fix, hopefully, well, two things actually, before closing the bracket of classic physique, I do expect, and also I do wish, that the weight will go a little bit higher. Don't get it twisted, we don't want a bubble gut bonanza, but by ratio, I think that the smaller guys, they can give them 5 to 8 pounds more, right, to round it up, and the taller guys anywhere between 10, 12, 15 to make it more even, to give them more chance by ratio, because I think that the taller guys are suffering. They look a little bit on the thin side, and you know, a little bit more mass to resemble the Arnold of old, and also, you know, Francis Benfato, and even what's his name, Bob Paris, and the French guy, I forgot his name, it's not that bad, right? And that's it. So salute you wherever you are. The other thing I was about to talk about is again the politics. Whomever is listening, fix it. Just be loyal. Just to be like freaking the elections. Whatever right is right. I mean, we don't have to, like, yesterday there was a post by Boston Lloyd calling up freaking the New York Pro. Everybody called you out for Lord's sake. Come on. Like, seriously? It's just shameful, and it does a huge disservice for your discipline when it is so blatant, right? When it's close, it's just fine. I mean, we can say, okay, Nasser should have won 1996 Mr. Olympia. We can say that Jay Cutler should have won 2001, or what's his name, Victor Martinez 2007. But it was close. It was close, right? The thing is, when it's not close, when it is like day and night and you still do it, it is truly shameful. And that is not to be saluted by no means. That's it, guys. Salute you wherever you are. Don't forget to like the video and tell me what you guys geek out about this rather spontaneous video. Properly executed.